Hey guys, what's up? It's Mike from Cornfield Customs, and I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on the Hanchard Special 2829 Model A land speed car. When summer rolls around, I usually get pretty busy racing and doing shows and events and stuff like that. So a lot of the progress on my personal cars tend to dwindle during the summer. But today, I don't know what the date is today, but today I went down to Mount Sterling, Kentucky, and met up with Jerry Walker from Sinister Hot Rods. And he was building a land speed car maybe 10, 15 years ago, and it never really got completed. So we worked out a deal, and I picked up a lot of the stuff left over from that car that we can use on the white Model A Roadster. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about it. Originally, this car, when it ran back in the day, there's a picture of Irene in the car at Bonneville. It ran a Model A 4-cylinder flathead, and it was blown on fuel. So it ran alcohol, and it had an Eaton-style supercharger off of a Super Coupe. I may have talked about this in one of the other videos, but I can't remember if I did or not, so I figured I would just talk about that again. And that was originally what I was going to go with, and then we started talking about what our goals for the car was. You know, did we want to set a record? Did we just want to go out and have a good time? You know, if we want to chase a record, what kind of speeds do we want to run? So then we were kind of torn with that. Do we just want to somewhat restore it to what it used to be? And we were talking, and we decided we wanted to go for some records. So it's really tough with a flathead 4-cylinder because they're very expensive. They don't make a lot of power, and I figured that wasn't going to be the most cost-effective way to go to get it back to Bonneville and be somewhat competitive. So then we had talked about putting a Honda K-Series engine in there, and that's kind of the path I was going on. So I'd started doing some research on K-Series blocks and turbos and heads and all of that stuff, and that's kind of the path I was on, and then Destiny intervened. So we were going to run a 2.0 to a 2.4 liter K-Series, and then like I said, Jerry Walker from Sinister's Hot Rods contacted me the other day about these parts that he had acquired and started building a car around. So that's where we are today. I went down and I got an engine that still puts us in the same class, liter-wise. It's just a little bit different than the Honda K-Series. I don't know if we'll get as much power out of it as we could with the Honda, but we might not need as much power as we could max out a K-Series engine at. So this is what I ended up going down to Mount Sterling and getting. We got an extra set of land speed wheels and tires. I gotta check and see kind of how nice, that one's still got the quarter turns in it. I'm gonna inspect the tires, blow them up, and look for cracks. They are a little bit older, so I just wanna make sure that everything looks good, but just at first glance, they look great. So we have welded steel racing wheels that will fit on what we have on the Roadster, and moon discs and tires. And here is a 2.4 liter Ecotec GM race engine. I don't know a whole lot about it. Jerry's trying to track down all the information when it was put together, but yeah, it's kind of where I am with it. It's set up to run on alcohol with the turbo, and I have to go through all these boxes of parts as well to find out more about it. I know there's a set of gas injectors in there, the exhaust is there, the computer's there. Some of this stuff is a little bit older, and I'm gonna have to go through and see what is usable by today's standards or what I'm gonna have to upgrade. But I figured with this engine, it would be a really good starting point to move forward and not have to start with a bare K-Series block and build up from there. This one was already put together, built, and it has been sitting, waiting for the right car. So I feel that Destiny really kind of helped out here, because I was within like a week of pulling the trigger, and then Jerry just contacted me and said, hey, would you have any interest in this stuff? And it turned out I did. So like I said, I got the engine, the transmission, wheels and tires, boxes full of parts, got a lot of lines, fittings, some AN stuff, intercooler, lots going on with just what I got from Jerry today. So I'm excited to start digging through the boxes, seeing what I can find out is here, what we still need to get, and kind of upgrade. But I have been working on the car a little bit here and there. I'll walk to the other side. So I started working on, I got a bunch more of this, got the steering box, the collapsible steering column, more clevises, the pass-through for the firewall for the steering, just a bunch of little stuff for the steering and suspension. So I got the fire bottles mounted, just made up some real quick, easy brackets. So those are put on, just tacked in place for now. So we've got the fire bottles in. This will be our water tank. It'll probably be for, I don't know if I'm gonna use the air-to-air intercooler or if I'm gonna switch to a water-to-air. I'm kind of leaning water-to-air just so we can hide the intercooler inside the body somewhere and keep some of the airflow out of the engine compartment. So with that, that is going to be a water tank, either for a water-to-air intercooler or if we just bypass the radiator and have a water circulation tank. So I've got that, and it goes right here. I just got to make brackets, and got one of the wishbones just sitting up against this plate right now, but it does pass through and does not interfere with that corner. And we're not going to have a ton of suspension movement in general, about an inch to an inch and a half. So that'll clear. I got to make the cross member in the front, which I was kind of held up on with what engine we were going to use, because I'll probably use the transmission cross member as our front radius rod mount. So I still got to figure out if we're going to use the 5-speed that's on the engine now, or if we're still going to go with the Turbo 400 that I had built when we were going to run the Banger. So we got panhard bar just laying here. I still got to make brackets for it, but the bar's done, rod ends are on. I got our rear lateral braces that come off the back into the back of the chassis. And with the main cage here bolting in place, because I'm going to sandwich the floor in between the cage and the chassis, I wanted to be able to have these rear unbolt as well. So I got tube clamps that clamp around our rear cross member, and then our cage bars are welded to it. So we can unbolt the cage and take it out for paint, powder coat, service, whatever we need to do to make working on the car easier in the off season. And started on some of the interior aluminum pieces. So at this point, I really just need to kind of buckle down and finish up a lot of these loose end tasks, because I could probably have the rear suspension done in a Saturday, and then I could have the front suspension and steering done on a different Saturday. And from that point, it's about ready to pull off of the table, and it'll be a little bit easier to work on. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do the engine and transmission mock-up on the table, or if I want to make it easier on myself and do it on the floor. I haven't thought that far ahead with it, just due to the fact that I just figured out 2 days ago that we had an engine for it. So things are kind of speeding up, and it is the end of the year, so we're going into colder weather. I'm going to have a lot more time where I don't want to be outside to work on the Roadster. So I'm hoping we can get this thing done and at El Mirage in May. That's kind of my soft deadline. I would really like to do that, but if we don't make it for May El Mirage, we're going to shoot for Bonneville in August. So really kind of got to get myself into gear, get stuff going. But the good thing is now I have the majority of all the big parts. So engine, transmission, wheels, tires, radiator, front suspension, rear suspension, roll cage, fire suppression, steering box. It's all coming down to the little piddly stuff. I know that takes up a lot of time, plumbing and wiring and AN line. But the big expensive stuff is here. It's just going to be all that nickel and dime stuff and the tedious part of putting it together. So with it being the beginning of November, that gives me January, February, March, April, 4 months, and then December, so 5 months. That gives me 5 months to get this together, which as quick as the red Roadster went together, we did that car start to finish in about 13 months. So that was from concept to ready to unveil at Grand National in about 13 months, give or take. So I should be able to knock this out. hopefully in 5 months. It just depends on what else is going on. I know in the next month, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to keep me from working on it. I have 2 metal shaping classes coming up. I do have to take a trip to California to pick up a machine I bought, which is going to be super exciting. I can't wait to show you at least the machine. I might document the entire journey, so we'll have to figure out if I'm going to do that or not. You guys can drop down in the comment section and let me know if you want to see the cross-country journey to go get a vintage piece of machinery from California or not. Let me know. I do value your guys' feedback on that stuff. So we'll do that. And then I have Grand National, which I haven't decided if I'm going to yet or not. And then I have a class in March in Southern California. And then we've got Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the typical stuff. So I got a lot of time, but then I don't have a lot of time. So I'm hoping that I can get back to dedicating my Saturdays and Sundays when available to hit this car super hard and start getting a lot of progress made on it. So yeah, that's where we are as of today. And like I said, super pumped on this. I'm gonna have a couple of my buddies that are more into performance, 4 cylinders and turbos and that kind of stuff come over and look at it, see what we need to do to get it updated, as much power out of this thing as we can, and actually what realistic power is for this engine. I don't know. I mean, it could be 200 horsepower max, or we might be able to get 1,000 out of it, or somewhere in between. So at this point, I really don't know, but we're gonna do some investigation on it, make sure that it's sitting around, nothing's gone wrong, it doesn't have any surface rust in the cylinders, and just double check everything. Like I said, go through all of this stuff, which I might do on this video. I'm not sure yet. And yeah, if you can't tell, I'm a little excited about it, so I'm talking fast, but it's just super exciting that things are starting to come together on this car, and we'll be able to make something happen. So let me get after it, and we'll kind of go from there. So yeah, I'm gonna get after it, go through these boxes, and we'll see what kind of treasures we find. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up just because I gotta get to work. I gotta get some stuff done. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video and so many of our others. It is greatly appreciated. I appreciate all the comments, likes, and new subscribers we're getting. And don't forget about our other channel that I'll drop the link to. We'll probably put it here in the video and down in the description. So check that one out too to make sure you keep up with all the stuff going on in the shop and out of the shop that's not necessarily how-to and tech related. So again, thank you guys so much for checking this video out. Make sure to check out our others and some of our friends that we work with. And that's all I got. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.